So this is the non-spoiler review of Superman from 2025, directed by James Gunn. Since this is the non-spoiler review, we're going to choose to do things by categories just like we always used to, talking about the visuals, the pace, the story, the rewatchability, and things like that. You can use the chapters in the description to skip around, or you can just listen as I go all the way through it. We're going to start off with the visuals. If we talking CGI, I didn't love all of it, but I think that is due to the fact that this was shot a little bit for 3D. And so the 3D scenes came across in a way that I didn't care for. It was reminiscent of the CG that we got with the Flash movie from a few years back. I don't like that stuff. But when we talk about the performances side of the visual category, I think the performances were really, really good for every character that we got a taste of in this film. The characterizations is different from performance. So I'll go into characterization of these characters a bit when I do the spoiler review. But for the purposes of non-spoilers, I'll just say who did what and how well did it come across? So this version of Superman was way more open, way more emotional, way more earnest of a version of Superman I think that we've seen in a long time. I really enjoyed David Cornsweet's performance. I thought he did a great job as Superman and Clark Kent. Lois Lane was great. Jimmy Olsen was really cool. Guy Gardner was really good. And Mr. Fantastic was my favorite character of the film. I was anticipating him being done wrong based on the vibes that I got from the trailer, but I really liked the execution of the way they tried to do him with that super serious tone, but not so serious that he drugged the whole vibe of the movie down. Something that I hope people don't sleep on when we talk about performances is Lex Luthor. He was a great villain here. He was portrayed very well. His intelligence was on full display. His disdain and hatred of Superman, totally understandable, explained very well. I liked Lex Luthor so much in here. His depiction, much better than the previous version that we got most recently. I'm thinking of Jesse Eisenberg. Way better than that version. Let's move on to story. Story was very good to me. It was very easy to follow, and in my opinion, it meshed well with the world that we currently live in. One underrated thing about this movie is the opening crawl, not like Star Wars, but we have text right as the movie opens. And this text does so much for setting the stage and kind of, in my personal opinion, alleviating some of the fears that I had about this version of Superman. It just made a lot of stuff go away. The way they presented things in the world that they built with just a few lines opening up. Let's talk pace, because for me, the pace of this movie takes a bit of a hit when you look at the score in the description. I don't feel like the movie was paced bad where there were parts of the movie that drug, but it did feel longer than a pretty close to flat 2 hours of film. I'm not saying that I was bored at any point in the movie. Again, I think that things went along quite well. You had monster fights, you had one-on-one battles, you had political stuff, you had relationship drama. There was a lot that happened in a short amount of time. But maybe because of the sheer amount of events that occurred, it just made me feel like this is longer than 2 hours, even though it's pretty flat at 2 hours and 9 minutes. When talking about pace, a lot of superhero movies get bogged down because they try to throw out too many threads that can slow the movie down and require a lot of exposition. Superman does not do that. They have a ton. I'm talking about, for the comic book nerds, there's a metric ton of Easter eggs and things that will be returned to in subsequent films in this DC universe that James Gunn is building. But it's not too much. And so I put a little lower score for pace because it felt longer, but I don't think that is a true negative. I enjoyed the entire time. It just didn't feel like it was only 2 hours. It felt closer to 2.5 or 2:45. That's just how I felt. My perception, if you will. Entertainment value and rewatchability on this one are super high. In the theater that I watched my movie at, there was a guy who had seen a midnight showing of Superman, and he was already back for the first showing of the day the next day. And so he was on the edge of his seat the entire time watching. Personally, this is one of the few movies that I would actually be willing to pay for to see again in the theaters. And I'm actually looking forward to watching this at home with my wife just to see how she thinks or how she feels about this version of Superman that we're currently getting. But those are my non-spoiler thoughts on Superman. I give it an 8 out of 10. It is a very high mark for a superhero movie. I think that it ushers in a new age for DC. I think they have a very good direction as to where they're going with things. I think that they laid the seeds for a bigger, broader universe very, very easily. And you tied other heroes to this version of Superman in a way that has never really been done before. I'm going to be collecting my spoiler thoughts over the next few days. And after the weekend ends, I'll drop the full spoiler video talking about the specific things that I enjoyed about this movie. But I want to give people a chance to see it before we get on here and just ruin everything and throw out all the big things that happen. So come back and check that out. I would deeply appreciate it. That's all we got for this one, y'all. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.